Hello, everybody. Jonathan Pulley here with West Coast Weather. Today is November 19th. We got a couple systems coming in through the rest of the week. And then at the end of this video, we're going to look at what the cold chances are looking like for Thanksgiving week. Malls are kind of been flopping around and have changed things a bit. So we'll take a look at that. So we're currently looking at the satellite imagery over the northeast Pacific Ocean off the west coast of the United States. You can see Washington, Oregon, California easily over here. You can see some low clouds over there over northern California. You can see a frontal system is approaching the area from off the coast. I can see this cloud shield that's currently moving over western Washington, Oregon right now through my window right now. It looks kind of a little eerie as it moves in. However, this frontal system is going to be dying as it approaches the coastline, so it's just going to mostly bring precipitation to the coastlines and a little bit inland as well. But it's really not going to be much impactful. And then we're going to get a bit of a break before potentially stronger storm system moves in Sunday into Monday, and then we'll take a look at the cold potential after that as we head towards Thanksgiving. So now let's look at the European model this morning. You can see our storm system that's off the coast right now. You got that frontal system that we saw on satellite. There's still a storm system that's keeping some showers over parts of Southern California and the western United States. That kicks off. And then that system coming in tonight, it kind of dies off and dives south over California again, bringing you guys more precipitation through the end of this week. Then a ridge builds in on Friday. You can see the time up here. And these are 6-hour clicks. So every time I press this, it goes 6 hours into the future or into the past. As we go through this weekend, we have a ridge over us basically Friday and Saturday. There's going to be a frontal system to the north of us over Vancouver Island and southwest British Columbia, which may spread some precipitation over the area Friday evening and the Saturday morning for parts of extreme northwestern Washington, basically north of Everett, up towards Bellingham, Vancouver, BC, that general area. Models were potentially showing that being an atmospheric river going right into us, but they trended north into the days leading up to this video, and it's looking more likely that it will remain to the north of the area, but still spraying plenty of clouds over the area. Then as we go into Sunday, the ridge starts moving out of the area, and then we got another system coming in on its heels. And malls were showing this potentially being a windstorm kind of scenario last weekend. There wasn't a ton of mall support for it, but it was looking kind of interesting. Malls have downtrended on this, and it's going to be kind of a relatively weak system, but there might be a bit of a strong pressure rate on its south side. So exactly how this moves in on the day on Sunday in the Monday is going to really depend on how strong of winds we get with that. Then that moves through, and we look to get a break sometime early next week before there's potential for more systems after that as we head towards Thanksgiving and after. But that's kind of fantasy land. Let's take a look at directly on the west coast. Here's the 6-hour precipitation type in inches. Time is over here. Just I know it's kind of hard to see over there, but it's the best we got, unfortunately. As we go through Wednesday afternoon, later today into Thursday morning. Sorry, I'm getting my days mixed up here. The frontal system's going to move in, bring some showers over the area late tonight in the Thursday morning. Kind of mostly going to be dying off as we go through like noon on Thursday. The frontal system will be moving down over California, though, and precipitation will be going down the central and southern California coastlines and inland all the way through Friday, with showers continuing down there all the way through Friday evening and maybe even the Saturday morning as well. Then you can see that frontal system that kind of moves down on Friday for parts of northwest Washington, southwest BC. You can see it's kind of got this atmospheric river signal. It's not a lot of moisture associated with it, but it brings some rain to the northern Washington coastline parts of the Olympics, North Cascades, especially Vancouver Island, southwest BC, and the coastal ranges. Then it kind of meanders south a bit early Saturday morning. Might bring some precipitation to parts of the San Juans, southern Vancouver Island, like Victoria, and maybe parts of Whidbey Island and Skagit, Whatcom counties. But it should not be much. Then the atmosphere along the atmospheric river is this little weak low pressure system that develops. It moves in Friday afternoon ish. There's going to be rainfall that's going to be start moving in the Vancouver, BC Sunday morning. continuation of that weak atmospheric river up there. Then the frontal system moves down through western Washington Sunday evening into Monday morning. There's probably going to be a bit of a convergence zone early Monday morning as that front moves through and you get those westerly winds going around the Olympic Mountains and collide over Seattle area. That convergence zone may remain over parts of Whidbey Island and the northern Puget Sound and Salish Sea and parts of the Olympics as we go through Monday, but just mainly some showers continuing all the way through Monday evening. Then we get a bit of a break on Tuesday, and it looks like, and then there's potential for another frontal system as we go into the day before Thanksgiving. But that's about 8 days out, so we got plenty of time to look at that. So now let's look at the 10-meter wind gust as a surface wind gust in miles per hour. As we go through later today, you can see mostly the strongest winds are going to be along the Cascade Gaps as that frontal system causes the air to get pulled out of the mountain gaps. You may get some 40 plus mile per hour winds along the I-90 corridor, some localized areas over there. And so as the frontal system moves in, maybe a couple bits of gusty, the locally strong winds along the coastlines, but really nothing too out of the ordinary. Maybe probably some breezy winds this evening and the Thursday morning for the Whidbey Island, the San Juans, and Victoria areas. And then that kind of continues all the way through Thursday. Then we calm down before that weak atmospheric river moves to our north on Friday, brings some general just breezy winds, maybe 10 to 20, 30 miles per hour max over the area. That kind of meanders all the way through Saturday. And then here comes that system on Sunday with potentially stronger winds. You can see the winds gusting up towards 40 miles per hour for the northwest interior, basically from Whidbey Island up to Bellingham and parts of the Washington and Oregon coastline. Getting a little breezy in Seattle as well. Also breezy along the Strait of Georgia as well, but those mainly stay right along the water. Then a westerly surge wind as that frontal system moves through. This could potentially be decently strong, maybe some gusts up towards 40 to 50 miles per hour for parts of Whidbey Island, Port Townsend, just off of Port Angeles as well in southern San Juans and western Fidalgo. These are very localized features coming down the Strait of Juan de Fuca, which is a little land gap in between the mountains of Vancouver Island and the Olympics. So, but miles are pretty consistent on maybe some gusts 35 to 50 miles per hour. Nothing too serious, but definitely would be a noticeable breeze on Whidbey Island and would be maybe cause a couple isolated power outages. That happens like late Sunday evening, continuing to be a bit breezy through Monday morning, and then that dies down through early next week. So now let's look at the 2-meter low temperatures of the days ahead. You can see we've been dipping in the 30s today and tomorrow, and then maybe even through Friday as well. Then we warm back up. Low temperatures remain close to are going to be below and near freezing out there east of the Cascades, which is pretty normal this time of the year. They have that. Probably some frost and bits of freezing out there. We warm out on the west side as we get some more Pacific air in as those frontal systems move through this weekend. You can see these are minimum temperatures for a 24-hour period. You can see the day up here. So this is Sunday and then Saturday. And as we go to early next week and into the middle of next week, there's going to be potential for some cold air to come down from the north of BC. Malls have kind of really lowered the chances of actual Arctic air moving down, but it's going to be some cool continental air that's going to move in, and probably will there's a good chance of our first semi-widespread freeze on the west side of the Cascades as we go through Tuesday the 25th through Thanksgiving. Probably temperatures getting into the low 30s, maybe even upper 20s at this point. This is still pretty early, but this is the national blend of models, which is an average of a lot of models. So these will probably be a bit warmer, a bit lower than what this model is actually showing. So generally, a good idea is to prepare for some possible freezing conditions next week. Then after Thanksgiving, maybe if things warm up, but we look to remain kind of below average on a little on the chilly side as we continue through that time frame. And that's starting to get out towards the 8 to 10 day time frame, and things can and will change. But it looks like we'll get at least some freezing temperatures. So now looking at total snowfall through this weekend, you can see there's not really much. These systems are going to be kind of on the warm side, so only the highest peaks will be getting snow. But then as we go into Thanksgiving week, notice that system on late Sunday night into Monday brings a decent bit of snowfall. And then as we go through Thanksgiving, maybe even start getting some snowfall east of the Cascades. Not looking like a ton, but the passes will definitely probably start getting snow. Is that if we start getting towards freezing near the water, it's definitely below freezing in the passes, and any precipitation will likely be snow as we go into next week. So definitely keep an eye out on the passes and the forecast snowfalls up there if you're traveling over the passes for Thanksgiving. So just always a good idea to check the the pass conditions before going over them, as they can get pretty rowdy with not that much snowfall, especially early in the season. It can catch people off guard. So now let's looking at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. This is November 25th through the 29th. So around that Thanksgiving timeframe, you can see we kind of look to remain a bit above average to towards the southwestern United States, as some ridging and that marine air kind of pushes up into the southwest. However, that chilly continental air is going to be moving down the Washington, maybe parts of Oregon as well as we go through this time frame. So it will be a bit below average temperature wise. And I bet the blues will probably increase a bit as we get closer. Precipitation generally below near normal to below average for much of the west coast, as that ridge of high pressure kind of sets off the coast for a bit there. It causes us to be on kind of a dry northern like flow of the winds, and that's generally not very conducive for a lot of precipitation. But any precipitation will likely be snow in some of the Cascades above a few thousand feet of elevation. Then the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. This is kind of fantasy land, but November 27th through the first half of the first week of December, we looked to remain on the cool side, as we saw in the models going towards that. But a lot of things can change. We might start getting some Arctic air coming down into the United States, but just how far west that makes it is still in question. And things have kind of been trending a little warmer for us, but was still remaining on the chilly side. And then the precipitation outlook generally showing that the ridge of high pressure being a little too close to us off the coast, and causes us to kind of be in a little bit of a drier weather pattern. However, places like Montana will start getting those will be more likely to get those low pressure systems and more precipitation. So anyways, that's it for this video, guys. I hope everybody enjoyed this and found this informative. Not very exciting weather expected over the next week or so, but I know a lot of you guys are really enjoying that, and you can get some good stuff done outdoors and stuff like that. However, for us weather lovers that like exciting weather, it's kind of a yawn period for us. So anyways, I hope everybody has a wonderful week, and I'll talk to everybody in the next video. God bless.